No government signed up for this. Had
Yeah,
Doug Ford known this was going to happen, he would have passed on this election and tried to
absolutely.
come on the next
Yeah,
election. This was a
even
very bad time to be an elected official.
it's horrible, and you know what? And Trump lost the election because of this. This is the issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been he would have been, and even Netanyahu could be in trouble uh, because of this.
Okay, yep. So
And
yesterday at the end, I'm sorry.
no, no, nothing important. Go ahead.
Yesterday at the end of the day, we learned about Birchas Hamazon, if it's a kabetza or a kazayis. So we learned there are two ways to darshan the pasuk. It says v'chalta v'savata v'rachta. So the machlokes is, do you say that to have a chiyuv Birchas Hamazon there has to be a v'chalta, which is a kazayis, and a v'savata, which means you have to drink. If you don't drink, you're not mechuyev to bench. Or do you say v'chalta v'savata? The v'savata is describing what type of achila it has to be, and it has to be an achila of a kabetza. Now the halacha is midaraisa. You're not mechuyev to bench if you don't drink. If you only eat, if you have a sandwich and you don't drink, midaraisa, you're not mechuyev to bench. Midrabanan, you're mechuyev to bench, and we bench. But the Chazon Ish says that if you have a sandwich and you didn't have a drink and you benched, and then 15 minutes later you got a hold of a drink and you drank, you're now mechuyev to bench again to fulfill your chiyuv daraisa. So drinking is very much part of eating. I don't know about the alcohol content of what you have to drink, but it has to be a drink, like a water, because you're not fully satiated unless you have drank as well. What? Okay, so let's start from the Gemara, beautiful Gemara, the third line from the bottom. If anybody has
You're not fully satiated with kabeya either. When's the last time you ate supper and you had served an egg and oh, I'm full now. Thank you.
I hear. So I wonder, does a kabeya mean if you eat a kabeya bread? Normally, if you eat a kabeya of bread, what it accompanies, normally the meal doesn't consist only of bread, right? If it's a sandwich that its bread content is a kabeya, so maybe that would satiate you. That's where the shir kabeya comes from. But lemais, if you have kabeya of only bread, you do have to bench. Okay. Zok the Gemara.
That's my point. Yeah. Okay.
I hear. Yeah. Zok the Gemara. It's going to be on that day, and this is referring to the Geula. Now, in the back of my Gemara, if anybody has an art scroll, and help me with Taichet this pasuk, but I'll tell you what, in the back of my Gemara, in the Arz V'Hadars, it has a pirish on the psukim, and this is how they teach it. It'll be in those days, not referring to the Geula, but referring to the difficult times right before the Geula. Lo yiyah or yakrus, the point. There won't be the bright sunlight. Rather, it'll always be like a waning sunlight, as if it's frozen over. That's how he teaches it. I don't know who maybe he's quoting from the Metzudas David. I don't know, but the Gemara is darshaning it. When Mashiach actually comes, Lasad Lavoi, then Lo Yiyah or yakrus, the great sunlight that we have won't even be a great thing today. Having bright sunlight is very valuable. In those days, it'll be nothing. It'll be common currency. The kapoin, it'll be something that's very, very common. That's what Rashi says. And Rashi says, "ID the Ari Yerushalayim b'Yitzia Shara." We were talking in the Mishnah about someone who left the boundaries of Yerushalayim with meat. So we're talking about the boundaries of Yerushalayim. The Gatani v'Chein Mish Yotzim Yerushalayim Pasach by Parshasa. That's what led the Gemara to discuss this inyan. Because as part of this inyan, we're going to see that we remember, come on, we're going to learn soon from these psukim that Kadosh Baruch Hu is eventually going to increase the size of Yerushalayim, which some of the Achronim ask on, why would there ever be a need to increase the size of Yerushalayim if in Pirkei Avos the Mishnah tells us that there was never a time where it was too crowded in Yerushalayim. Al Pines, there was plenty of room in Yerushalayim. It was an oimdim tzuvin and mishtachavim arachim. So there's a shaila as to why they have to do that, but it's probably just to give us more place to be able to eat our kachim. So let's see what the Gemara says. Omer Rabbi Lozer, Zok Rabbi Lozer, Zeh or Sheyakar b'olam hazeh v'kafri l'olam haba. Before I go back, if anybody has an art scroll, can you read how he teaches the pasuk shot in the pasuk?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Shmuel, what does it say?
It will be on that day that there will be no light, chorus, and kippah.
It'll be on that day there will be no light.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's teaching it like I saw on the back. That day, meaning before the Gul, there'll be no light, because after the Gul, there'll be a bright light. So that's Pashup Shot in the Pasuk. And the Gemara is darshaning it that it's referring actually to when there's going to be the Geula. This is an or that's very, very valuable nowadays. But in Olam Haba, it'll be nothing, because it'll be much brighter then. Or that very powerful sunlight, choshev, the yakar shala, its value yekafri, meaning it'll become lightweight. The kala olam haba, kol dover kal, anything light, kara kafri. The pasuk tzaf alamayim or vayatzav abarzel mitargaminon the kafa parzala. The metal will be kafa; it'll become lightweight. Maybe it's because ice is less dense than water, and ice floats. Because coffee sometimes refers to frozen, and we know that the Rebbeinu Shalom v'chastei agadol, every other element in the world, when it becomes colder, it becomes more dense and more heavy. The only element in the entire world that becomes less dense when it gets colder is water, and even water does become more dense as it gets colder. But once it freezes, ice expands. And the Rebbeinu Shalom did it, the Chassidus Yisborach, because if ice did not expand and if ice did not float, then oceans would freeze completely and lakes would freeze completely in the winter, and all the marine life would die. So Hashem made it that ice should float, and this way, even though the top layer of oceans and lakes freeze, they are thawed out below, they're water below, and therefore marine life is protected. That's what my biology teacher taught me. Okay, so let's see the Hilig Gemara weiter. So this great light will be commonplace in Olam Haba. Rabbi Yochanan says, Elu Nagoyim v'Oyelos, these are the Masechtas in the Mishnayos of Nagoyim v'Oyelos. I just wanted to mention, being that there's going to be such a bright light, when Mashiach comes, I suggest we buy shares in sunglass manufacturing companies, because they're going to be in very, very high demand, even like Polaroid types of sunglasses. Anyway, if anybody ever was makabel mishnayis for a nifter, the Gemara here is telling us that Nagoyim and Oilos are very, very difficult masechtas. They're very, very difficult masechtas to learn. But they're going to be easy mesechtas. Everyone's going to understand them. It's going to be easy. They're going to be like in the Mishnah church. Megillah always gets filled out earlier. The Moed mesechtas people grab, and then it's the Kachim and the Tyrus mesechtas that the family has to beg people to take. So the Goyim and Oilos are going to be the Mishnahs that everyone signs up for first. Although no one's going to have to learn Mishnahs for an Iftarim anymore, because we'll live forever. But we'll still probably learn Mishnahs anyway. It's referring to people. And what does Yikarim mean? All the big knackers in Olam Hazeh, but they're maybe not so ehrlich. So those people, the Queen they're going to go on ice. Come Olam Haba, they're not going to be so appreciated. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Cholash, he got sick. This nugget, Rashi says he had a near-death experience. Gava uparcha ruchai. So he actually was able to report back of what's happening across the border. Kihadar, when he came back, Amr Le'avua, his father asked him, "My chazis, what did you see over there?" Amr Le, you know what I saw? Oilam hafach, where you see. I saw a backwards world. Al yoinim lamata, all of the big knackers, oisum shahayu kan chashuvim, reisi kalam. There were lightweights. And the lightweights, Lamaila, were doing well. So basically, there was a transfer of nuns. I call this a transfer of nuns, because the person who was a knacker lost his nun, and the person who didn't have the nun became a knacker. Zok to Gemara, Omar Loi, he told him, Beni, that's not Olam Havach, Olam Bari. So you saw a justified world. Vanan, Hechiasum, tell me, my dear son, how do we fare up there? And Rashi says he wasn't just asking for him and his son. Talmidi chachamim heichi yisin hasam. How are we going to do up there? Dr. Gemara, ki heichi de isi anan hacha. We're going to be there pretty much like we're there. So I guess we're in the middle. We're in the middle here, so we'll be in the middle there. But people who are on one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum will get a nun transfer. So there's a lot of different pshatim offered on this Gemara. So one pshat is, and I'm sure that each of these different pshatim talk to different people. So there's one pshat that I like very much that said there are people who are gifted. They're gifted, and because they're gifted, they're very smart, and maybe learning comes to them easy, or mitzvahs come to them easy, or business comes to them easy, and because of that, they're very successful. Yet there might be another group of people that work very hard and struggle very hard. They struggle very hard for their Yiddishkeit, they struggle very hard for learning, for business, everything they struggle hard, and it doesn't go for them. In the next world, we're going to be rewarded based on their effort. So all those people who didn't reach their full potential and they just took what was easy, they're going to be lamato. But the people who were lamato in this world, but they tried very hard and they worked very hard, they're going to be sitting oivanun up there. Then there's another shot that they say, again, depending on where you find yourself, you can latch on to that shot and it gives you chizik. So why not? There's another shot is that the wealthy up there or the wealthy down here are the ones who are sitting like Hanun. They're the ones who are respected. But the tzaddikim who do mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim, who we know really they're the ones who sustain the world. You know, in this world, everyone respects and has appreciation to the Osher because the Osher supports the community. They keep everything going. But what we don't realize is that tzaddikim, through their ma'asim tovim, are actually sustaining the world. And once the screen of Gashmi is removed from us and we're in the next world, it will become clear that the sustenance of the world came through the tzaddikim, and therefore they're going to have tremendous cover. They're going to be the knackers, la'asad lavai. And then there's a third shot that I heard is that, you know, in this world, the usher is doing the oni a favor. They're giving him parnasa. But really, the Ani is giving the usher an opportunity to do mitzvahs. What a tzaddik. And therefore, in Yenevelt, the opportunities to hand out mitzvahs, that the Anim were always happy to hand out mitzvahs. Anytime you want to contribute, I'll give you a mitzvah. I had a shrab and a receipt. You just come in, I'll give you a receipt. So they're going to be very nice Allah because people are going to appreciate the opportunities that they've given out to do mitzvahs is going to be very much appreciated. So those are the different pshatim that I've heard, and whichever one gives you chizik is the one that you should use. Zogt the heilige Gemara weiter. Zogt the heilige Gemara weiter. V'shamati shoyoyman. These are all famous Gemaras. That's why they became songs. V'shamati shoyoyman. I heard that they were saying up there, Ashrei mi shabalakan. Fortunate is the one who made his way here. So what's meant Talmud biyado? They get a whole bunch of pshatim, and the Chroim, they all speak about it. So the Marsha's pshat is the most prominent, and the Marsha says the Talmud biyado means he wrote down his chedushim. Lucky is the one who writes his chedushim. The Marsha writes strongly that a person should write his chedushim. And I heard this morning from Rabbi Elephant that I believe the Ben Yoda says, or he says from the Chidah, either the Ben Yoda or the Chidah says, that anybody who a chiddush in Torah comes to him and he doesn't write it down, la'asad lavai, they're going to mourn from him. Because when a chiddush in Torah comes to your mind, it means the Rebbeinu Shalom is directly transmitting a gift to you of Torah that he's expecting you to broadcast to the world. So therefore, if a person should have said, if you have a chiddush, if you came up with a chiddush in Torah, you must write it down because it's your responsibility to distribute it to the world. That's like Cuomo getting millions of vaccines and he's bungling the distribution. If we were fortunate enough that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us a chiddush in Torah, we're mechuyev to write it down. So that's one shot based on the Marsha of what Talmud biyado means. However, there's other achronim who learn. I mean, Talmud biyado, he has ma'asim tovim. He didn't just learn, but he did biyad. He actually did the ma'asim tovim. He followed along, doing lamaisa, the mitzvahs that he learned. And the other pshatim is Talmud Yodim means he knows Torah Balpeh. He's going to pass the fair. Vishamati Shoyomim, I also heard that they said that Haruge Malchus, people who are killed al Kiddush Hashem by a Malchus, Ein Adam Yochal Lamed b'Mechitzasam. Nobody could even stand. Their Kedusha is so great, nobody could even stand in their area. Umaninu, who are good examples of Haruge Malchus? Ilem Rabbi Kiva v'Chaverav. If you're going to refer to Rabbi Kiva and the Asari Haruge Malchus, are you telling me Mishum Haruge Malchus the Suloi? You mean that's all they had going for them, that they were killed at Kiddush Hashem? What about their greatness? Dr. Rashi, Haruge Malchus Suloi, leHaisa ben Maila Cheres, Sheychashva elazubavad. They were huge. Ela Haruge Lud. Dr. Rashi, who are those? They were Shnei Achim Hayu, Shemosru Asman al Yisrael. They gave up their lives to save Klal Yisrael. What did they do? Shahaidu al Atzman Harigas Basmelech. I guess a Basmelech was killed and it was being blamed on the Jews. Surprise. And they said that we'll admit to it. They admitted to it. They got punished for it, and they saved Klal Yisrael. Shematil and Oisa al Klal Yisrael. They were going to blame everybody for it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it was. I think they were first to say it was. Now, interesting enough is there's actually a shayla halacha. Is one allowed to give up his life? And this is Nageya, or even endanger his life to save somebody. And this is the shayla that always comes up when somebody has to donate an organ. When you donate, are you allowed to put yourself in mortal danger to save somebody else's life? So I don't know if an organ donation is qualified, but this is where it's discussed in the shilas when they discussed organ donation. I know somebody who donated a kidney, and he discussed it with Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky and with Rabbi Yerucham Olshan, I believe, before he did it, and they were very hesitant to let him do it. And Rabbi Shmuel was very hesitant to let him do it because Rabbi Shmuel told him that if your spouse is not completely on board, and it's not likely that your spouse will be on board because they're very worried for your health and they need you, you shouldn't do it. In this case, Rabbi Shmuel said, I know your wife, and I know that she's that type of person who will be satisfied with it, so you could donate an organ. But here, the Gemara says, without a doubt, it was a good thing, and because here it was a shayla of saving a rabbim. Saving a rabbim.
She may have had a problem with the rib.
So saving a rabbim for sure is a davar choshev. Saving a yochid by putting yourself into mortal danger, if in his mortal danger, is something that you have to discuss with your rabbi. In those days, now the Gemara is discussing the wealth that Klal Yisrael is going to have. Lost lovely. On the matzalos of the horses, and we'll see what matzalos means. Kodesh Lashem, it's going to be holy. My matzalos hasus. What are the matzalos hasus that we're discussing? Amr B'Shua ben Levi, Osar Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Hosef al Yerushalayim. Your Boshim is going to eventually add to the municipality of Yerushalayim. He's going to add to the city. Ad she'asus rotz umatzel. During the morning and during the afternoon, where the sun is not right above us, the shade is to our side. At high noon, there's shade right below us. So what the Gemara is saying here is HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to extend Yerushalayim the amount of distance that a horse could run in the morning until high noon when the shadow is right below him. So that's a nice couple of miles of radius that your Rebbeinu Shalom is going to be adding to Yerushalayim. The amount of distance that a horse could run in the morning. Lashon matzel means shechiloi tachtov. Shekol shas hayoyim chama noitel etzdadin. V'tzela adun v'tzela be'ema noitel etzidoi. Our shade will be to one or the other side. V'shachama b'mezrach tzela adun l'mayrev. U'b'chatz hayoyim at high noon chama imedis be'em terekia b'rosh kaladam, and therefore v'tzela sus tachtov. The shade will be right below. So that's the first shot. The first shot is Hashem is going to extend the borders of Yerushalayim, which means if you buy property now that's cheap on the outskirts of Yerushalayim, it eventually will be in the municipality of Yerushalayim. You make money on it. All of the decorations that they would hang these ornaments over the eyes of the horses. Right? It was an ornament, and it jingled, but it was made for beauty. Yeah, Kodesh Lashem will be Kodesh Lashem. Now, before Shem say on this, what this means is, so Yishnadvu Yisrael Midvatein Mikdash. They're going to make the Davos to the base of Mikdash. So Rabbi Elephant explained very beautifully. Today, we like to have the fanciest cars because we like showing off our beautiful cars. One guy has a car where when he opens the door at night, it beams the name of the car on the ground. If you have a Genesis and you open the door at night, you'll actually see the Genesis emblem is beamed from the bottom of the door onto the pavement. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. Or Volvos as well. You open the door, it beams like all these fancy pitchivkis. In those days, people are going to use cars where the way they're intended to get from point A to point B. And all the pitchivkis of their cars, they're going to donate. So they'll say, why do I need to buy such a fancy car? I'll buy a simple car. And the difference, I'm going to donate to the base of Mikdash. So that's what it means. All the fancy pitchivkis on our vehicles, we're going to donate to the base of Mikdash. We don't need them anymore. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, it means kol biza shaboizes in Yisrael ad shosh ashus rots. All of the biza that we're going to get from the goyim in one day, in one morning, again, it's referring to a half a day. Ad shosh ashus rots and matzav yekadosh Hashem. So there will be a tremendous amount of biza sayam, or it's not biza sayam, of biza that will be available. For the base of Mikdash, so there'll be a tremendous wealth in the base of Mikdash. Zok Gemara, Bishlam Lamand Omar, Kol Biza Shabazu Yisrael. If it's referring to the great spoils of the war that the Yidden are going to get, so they're going to get a lot of kalim. Hainu Dechsiv, it makes sense to say that L'Asad Lavo, it says V'Haya Kol Sir B'Yerushalayim U'B'Yehuda. Every pot that was normally made out of some other metal will be Kodesh Hashem Tzavakais Uvo Kol Azvaychim V'Lachum Hem U'Bishalohem. But it says it's all of the pots will be given to Yerushalayim. They'll be like mizrakim. Oh, I'm sorry, I read the wrong pasuk. It says al matzilos asus kodesh Hashem, and the end of the pasuk is vayasiros beveis Hashem ki mizrakim lefnei mizbeach. What does it mean? They'll be like mizrakim. It means they'll be made out of silver. Hasiros ki mizrakim af hasiros you shall kesher v'shal zov. There'll be so much wealth and so many beautiful kalim that the kalim that are normally made out of regular metal will be made out of gold and silver with flame mizbeach. So they'll have so many things that they'll be able to give to the mizbeach. If it means that Hashem is going to extend Yerushalayim, or the people are going to donate the pitchivkis of their cars to the base of Mikdash, my v'haya asiris beveis Hashem. Where is it coming from? Zok to Gemara, Milzach Gomer. If you read the pasuk, it's not that the second half of the pasuk v'haya asiris are a result of the first half of the pasuk v'yomahu yiyah mitzilais. Rather, it's two separate brachas. There'll be mitzilais, and that either means that Yerushalayim will be extended, or people will donate the ornaments of their horses. And then the second bracha is v'haya asiris, meaning ka'amar demis asri Yisrael. Klal Yisrael will become so wealthy, in addition to the other bracha, umisnadvi, and they'll be able to donate so much, umaisi, and they'll bring that to the base of Mikdash. So tomorrow, bishlema lamand amar biza, hainu dechsiv, bishlema. If you learn that it's biza, hainu dechsiv, it makes sense to say, v'lo yeh k'nani oid b'veis Hashem tzavakos. There will be no more goyim. That's right. V'haya kol shir b'shlayim v'yuda kodesh Hashem tzavakos uvo kol azaychim v'lachu mehem uvishlu mehem. What were the purpose of these Kanainim? These Kanainim were the buyers. They were the buyers. When Hekdesh needed to buy things, they needed to purchase them with brokers. So they used these Goyish brokers. So it makes sense, since they'll have all of these kalim, these beautiful gold kalim, they don't need to buy anything. They have whatever they need. So therefore it says, if you learn like the other two pratim where we had to say that where do they get these series from? Because it was a greater shiris. So they're able to buy these things. So then you still need the buyers. If you actually have the schoida mamela. But if you don't have the schoida, you need the buyers. What the way you read it is not knaini, it's v'loyeh kan ani. There will be no more poor people. In other words, Kanaani doesn't mean the nation of Canaanim. It means there'll be no more poor people. And people will be so wealthy that they'll actually have in their own possession pots that are gold and silver. Everyone is only going to use things that are gold and silver. So there will be so many gold and silver kalim out there that people will be able to donate it. And Kanai Nahar, that's right. Kanai, that's right. Ukanani minalan dikritager. How do we know that the word kanani is used to describe a broker? Yachsiv vayar sham Yehuda bas ish kanani. David had to go to daven already because it's daven 7:30. I wish he would have been here for this part because it says vayar sham Yehuda bas ish kanani. Yehuda saw bas ish kanani with Shemai Shua and he married her. Frank more my kanani. Are you going to learn that kanani actually means a kanani? Ilay kanani mamish. After is it possible? Avram v'Yisrael Yitzchak. Avram told Eliezer, "Don't take a wife for my son from the Canaanim." Well, Yitzchak v'Yisrael Yaakov. And Yehuda also v'Nazav, and then Yehuda is going to go marry a Canaani. So it can't mean that Yehuda actually married a Canaani. Bas Gavra Tagra. It just means that he married a woman whose father was an entrepreneur. Tichsiv Canaan b'Yadai Moizni Mirma. A Canaan. What does he have in his hands? He has fake weights. But clearly, you see, he was a merchant. They're merchants, they're entrepreneurs, are the respected people in the land. So Kanani could also be tied as a broker. So that's where you see what else it means a broker as well. The reason why I was hoping David would be here is because there's a big machloikus. There's many Rishonim who learn that the Shvatim did actually marry Kanaanim. So I'd love more information on that. But Argamor is clearly learning that they did not marry Kanaanim. Hashem l'melech al kol haaretz, v'hayomu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Fact Gemara. Atu ha'idna nowadays in Golus lav echaru. Hashem is not the only God. Avada he is. Rabbi Acha bar Chanina loy k'olam hazeh olam haba. Olam haba will not be like olam hazeh. Ha'olam hazeh al basuris toivis. When good things happen to us, omer we say baruch hatoiv ha'metiv. And the Mefarshim say the reason why it's a double lashon toiv ha'metiv is because there's two things that we make this bracha on. We can make this bracha on if we were saved from a big danger, that would be a toiv. Or if we had a tremendous success in a business deal, we made a lot of money, it's a metiv. So that's why it's a double lashon of a toiv ha'metiv. Al basuris rois, if never bad things happen, omer baruch dayin ha'emes. Well, there's not going to be any more dayin ha'emes. It's going to be kuloi ha'toiv ha'metiv. It's only going to be a toiv ha'metiv. I believe Rabbi Aaron Levine, told me that when he was preparing his sefer, I believe Rabbi Shalom Shvadron was in Toronto, and he said that he always reached out to people to get a vertel to write in his sefer. So he offered to take him to the airport, and in the car, he asked him to tell him something. So Rabbi Shalom Shvadron said, I don't do that. I don't do Inyonei Avelos. That's a little bit scary for me. But he told him one beautiful word. That is, the Ramban had a Talmud. And the Ramban's Talmud was very, very sick. He was a very young boy, and he was very sick, and he was dying. And the Ramban said, when you die, I want you to go up to Shemaim. I want you to ask them for an explanation. And I want you to come and tell me. Because I can't understand why such an innocent boy like you, why you're dying. So after the Talmud died, he did come back to the Ramban, and he quoted him from the Yoim of Yoim Sheni, and it says, the Minu Elikim Chastecha B'Kerev Hechalacha. So he said there's a whole bunch of different rooms with different labels, and there's one room that has this pasuk on it. So he told the Ramban, when I got up to Shemayim, everything became so clear, I was embarrassed to ask the question of why this happened, because I didn't want to make you, my Rebbe, look like a fool in Shemayim, because it becomes so clear what everything is. So this pasuk, he says, is written there, but its commas in a different place. We have our comma, Diminu Elakim Chastecha, Rebbeinu Shloim, we see Rebbeinu Shem Chesed, B'Kerev Heichalecha in the Seichel. He says over there, the comma is after Lakim. Diminu Elakim. We thought that what we're seeing here is Midas Hadin, but Chastecha B'Kerev Heichalecha. When you're with the Rebbeinu Shloim and you see what really is going on behind the scenes, then you see it's all Chesed. So that's what Rabbi Levine told me over that he heard, I believe, from Shalom Shvadron. So that
I'm not saying that.
I mean, it's hard for us to understand these things.
I'm not saying that in a meaning way. I'm saying the Holocaust is, it's really hard to understand this,
Right.
but we're down here.
That's right.
I can wait for the explanation.
That's why l'olam haba kula atayva meitiv. You have time to wait. You're not in a rush. That's right. I'm not in a rush to understand anytime soon. Okay, Shmoy echad, my echad, atuidna lav shmoy echad, lav shmoy echaru. Isn't Hashem one and only in this world as well? Amar Nachman Yitzchak, lo'ila kolam hazeh ha'olam haba, ha'olam hazeh nichtav b'yud kei vav kei. Right, the Shem Hashem is written as Yud Kei Vav Kei, but it's not pronounced that way. The Nikra ba'alef dalet. Avol lo'olam haba kuloi echad nikra. We're gonna read the Shem Havaya the way it's spelled. The Yud Kei, the Nichtav b'Yud Kei. Sava Rava l'midu shebepirka. Rava once wanted to darshan the Kriya of Yud Kei Vav Kei in his drasha. Amalei Hu Saba, which they say is Eliyahu Hanavi, la'olam ksiv. It says Zeshmi la'olam. Which is the parsha that we just learned yesterday. It's in Parsha Shemois. It says Zeh Shmi La'olam V'Zeh V'Dar, but La'olam is missing a vav. La'olam, it should be kept in secret. Don't be darshaning the details of the Shem Havaya. Ravina Rami, see Zeh Shmi La'olam V'Zeh L'Dar Dar. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu. So is it L'Dar Dar or is it La'olam? So Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Loika Sheli Nachtav Ani Nikra Nichtav Ani V'Yud Kei. Nikrani ba'alav talad. So they say Zeshmi la'olam would me lost lavai. V'zezich l'dar is nowadays when we're still in Golas. B'linei hadin lachel oivin hadin lachel oivin hadin lachel oivin. Dr. Helig Mishnah Vayter. Makam shenahagu lasas malacha ba'arvei Pesachim at Chatzos. Places where the minhag was to do malacha on their Pesach until Chatzos. Oishin, there you're allowed to do malacha. However, makam shalei nagu lasas ein oishin. What if you're traveling from a place where they do malacha to a place where they don't, or vice versa? You take both. You have to take both chumras. A person should not be meshana for machloikis. So Rashi says, the Gemara asks a kasha. Means if you don't do malacha and you go to a place where people do malacha, then you should blend in with the crowd. The problem is that's inconsistent with what the Mishnah said a moment ago, where you have to always keep the chumash. Now we know that halacha is perish shvius. As long as there's fruits out in the field for the behemoths, you're allowed to have pears in your home. But once there's no more pears left in the field for behemoths, you have to destroy whatever you have. So what happens if hamoilach perish shvius mimakam shekalu l'makam shaloi kalu? You have perish shvius, and where you are, it's really usher, but you went to a place where there's plenty of pears in the field, or vice versa. Or mimakam shaloi kalu l'makam shekalu chayiv levar. Again, you'd be mechuyev to be mevayer. Rita argues, you can say no. You can also go bring from a place where there is, and the Gemara will explain. My ear, Arvei Pesachim. What's up is our Mishnah is talking about Arvei Pesachim, and the shaila is the whole shaila about the minhag is if there's a minhag not to work before Chatzos, but after Chatzos, it's mashma klor from our Mishnah that for sure it's usher to do malacha. In fact, the Gemara, my ear, Arvei Pesachim. What's up is Erev Pesach. You're assuming without a doubt that there's an isser malacha. Afilu Arvei Shabbosos of Arvei Yomim Tovim Nami. There's also an isser to do malacha in the afternoon. The Tanya, Ha'isha malacha b'Arvei Shabbosos of Yomim Tovim Mina Mincha L'Mayla Ein Eroyim in Bracha Lo'olam. You never see us in bracha. Zok the Gemara, Hasam Mina Mincha L'Mayla Huda Aser. That's only Mina Mincha L'Mayla, so that's much later in the afternoon. But Samlach Mincha Loy before the Zman Mincha, you would still be allowed to do malacha on the Erev Shabbos. But Hacha, but over here by Pesach Mechatzois, it's already also from Chatzois. Inami, or you could say another svar. Hasam Simin Bracha Hud Loy Chazi. It's not a good thing. You won't say Siman Bracha, but you don't punish him for it. You also put him into Chayim if he violates. Rabbi Paksha once told me that stopping to work early on Erev Shabbos is a school for Ashiris, because in last week's Parsha, the bracha given to Usher was Me'osher Shmeina Lachmoi, and the three letters that spelled the word Usher are the three letters that precede the three letters that spell the word Shabbos. So my Usher from before Shabbos, Shmeina Lachmai. Gufa. Okay. Or if you do malacha b'motzai Shabbos, b'motzai Yom Tov, b'motzai Yom Kippurim, u'v'chol makam sheyesh sham nidnu daver, whenever there's even a possibility of an Avera, Lasuya Tanis Sibur, including a Tanis Sibur, which Rashi tells us is only a Tanis Sibur when the klal has no rain. But the regular Tainesim, there's not a problem doing malacha. There will not be a simon bracha from that malacha. Tosfos says something very important. These women, the nehigi, the mevid avidita, bafuka shabata, the women who have a minute not to do any malacha Motzei Shabbos, lav minhaga. It's not a minute. But adetispani sidra minhaga. But until davening is over, and they said their tefillas, that's a good minute. Pirish yashlam tefillah minute kosher uvaha ari nami hacha. So it doesn't mean the whole Motzei Shabbos you're not allowed to do malacha. It means until you finish all your tefillas. Zog the Gemara back. Tanur Rabban. Huh?
That might be a whole month.
Tanur Rabban. Yesh Zoris v'niskar. There are people who are as reason. They're balei malacha. They do work and they benefit from their work. V'zeish Zoris v'nifsad. There are those who are balei malacha. They work hard and they end up losing. Yesh shafal v'niskar. There's those who don't work and they benefit. Yesh shafal v'nifsad. And there are those who don't work and they lose. What are the cases? Zoris v'niskar is the Ovid Kula Shabbat. He works so hard a whole week. But but he doesn't work Erev Shabbos, he's going to have great benefit. Zoris v'nivsad, a guy who works hard and is going to lose, is the Ovid Kula Shabbat. He works a whole week hard, and Ovid b'mal Shabbat. Shavel v'niskar, what's someone who benefits even though he doesn't work? The Ovid Kula Shabbat, he doesn't work at all, and the Ovid b'mal Shabbat, he doesn't work on Erev Shabbos either. So he still gets the benefit, even though it's not Lishma, he still gets the benefit of someone who didn't work on Erev Shabbos, because he still has more time to prepare for Shabbos. Shabbos v'nifsid is a real loser. The whole week he doesn't work. Erev Shabbos he's busy. The women in Mechuzah. Mechuzah was a wealthy urban area where everyone was wealthy, so the women never worked. They were prima donnas. So it says even though the reason why they didn't work is because they're best of the people and they thought it was beneath them. It's not a hakol yoyim and nami like and they never worked. They still get schar and benefit for the fact that they don't work on Erev Shabbos, and we're going to soon see the Gemara says so even if you're doing a mitzvah, not l'shem the mitzvah, you still get schar for it. Rav Rami ksiv ki gadol ad shemayim chastecha. Your schar will be up to the shemayim. Uksiv ki gadol me'al shemayim chastecha. You'll have more schar than shemayim. So what is it? Haketzad. If you're doing a mitzvah l'shma, then you get gadol me'al shemayim chastecha. Your schar is even greater than the shemayim. The kan boishin shaloi l'shma, and when you're doing shaloi l'shma, then the schar is not above the shemayim. A person should always be Isaac and Torah in mitzvahs. Aval be shaloi l'shma, even though it's not l'shma. Shemitach shaloi l'shma, bal l'shma. Tosfos says, the Gemara says otherwise. The Gemara says. So you see, it's bad to learn Torah Shaloi Lishma. By Marie doesn't marry, could go in Shaloimit K'dei Lihisyair or Lekanter or Lekapech as Chaver V'Alacha. If he's learning to make trouble, that's when it's Noich Loi Shaloi Nivra. But if you don't have the right kavanah, you have a kavanah to benefit a little bit yourself. There you say Mitoich Shaloi Lishma Bal Lishma. I was once by a blatcher by Rabbi Yashiv, and we're learning the Gemara in Shabbos that says that when David HaMelech found out that he was going to die on Shabbos, he made sure not to stop learning for a second on Shabbos, so that would protect him from the Malach HaMavet getting to him. So someone asked Rabbi Yashiv, would David HaMelech learn Torah Shaloi Lishma? So without skipping a beat, Rabbi Yashiv says, no, what is? Mitai Shaloi Lishma, Bal Lishma. Tanur Rabbanan, Zog the Heilige Braisa, Hamatzapa Lischar Ishtoi. If someone is waiting for his wife to support him, he's waiting for his wife's money, or for a chaim, or to make money off the rental of a mill. He'll never see a simon bracha. Dr. Gemara, schar ishtoi doesn't mean any job. Davke mitalkulta. Meaning if she had a scale, she provided the weighing services, and she would go around with her scale to weigh things for people. There, it was a lot of hard work. It was very little pay. And it degrades her because she has to go from house to house. So that's why there's no simon bracha. But you'll see soon if she's an accountant or a doctor and she makes good money in a respectable fashion, avada, you're allowed to let her do that work. Rechaya, again, it means agata, it means you're renting it out. It's a lot of work, little pay. Aval, avda umizavna, if she makes it, if she's a manufacturer, meaning she doesn't. The Mashas as a broker, it's very humiliating for her. She has to walk around from door to door selling her wares. But if she could work from home and manufacture something and sell it to a broker, that's no problem. Correct. The Torah said that's good. It says sudden also of Timkar, and the Mashal says that the end of the pasuk is Vachagar Nosna Laknani. She makes it by herself, but she doesn't go sell it and peddle it. She gives it to the Kanaini to be the peddler to sell it. In other words, she makes it and then she sells it on Amazon. Tanar Rabban. Hamastaker Bekonim, someone who his business is that he sells wood, he sells lumber. Rashi says that Konim means Konim is kol maklois dakim konim. So it's not big boards, it's thin slats that you make fences out of, or bekankanim or jugs, ain't roisim and bracha, loilam. You don't see some bracha. My time kivin the novish chazayu, since they take up a lot of space, shaltabu eina, everyone can see his inventory, and then he'll have an einhar. Tanabon tagri simta, people who are sit in the shuk, means they're selling in a very public forum. So again, there's einhar. Again, Rashi says, everyone screams at them. It's a very busy, open, noticeable type of business. The Kajis are people who cut down beautiful trees in addition to the Yisurim. But it says in Rashi, everyone speaks bad about them. Everyone badmouths them. And someone who's a chazer, every time he has any type of business deal and you have to split up something, he's always a chazer, aggressive to always grab the best part of everything, right? So the lach is again because people look down on such people who create an ein hara. My time in the Toba inchi, because people look at you with disdain. Tanarban, dalat prutas, there's 4 types of money, in other words, 4 types of ways to earn money. Ein bad simon bracha loylam. Schar koisvin, the schar of people who write, like soifrim, with schar meturgamanin, and the schar of the people who would say over the drasha from the rabbi after he said the drasha, uschar yasaimim, and the schar that you get paid if you work for yasaimim, umois habois within hayam, and if you're an international broker and you sell things from overseas, that's also not a simon bracha. I understand why. The Mexic is on Shabbos. When are most of the drashas on Shabbos? So it looks like you work on Shabbos, almost like a caterer, right? Or umois yisaimim nami lav v'nei mechilinenu, because yisaimim are not able to be meichel, and if you're mazik to mamashu, it's trouble. Mois habayis from this hayom, someone who buys international products, mishum the lav kol yom misrachesh nisa. You're always relying on the safety of transport, that things will arrive and they won't get lost at sea. Elaschar koisvin, my time. What's wrong with soifrin? Why are they not going to make money? Omar B'Shu ben Levi, Chaf Dalid Tinius Yoshvu Anse Knesset Agdoila Al Koisvei Svarim Fil Nuzuzais. The Anse Knesset Agdoila sat Tanesim to Poilos and Shemayim Shalo Yisashru, that people who write Kisvei Kodesh should never become rich. Why didn't they want them to become rich? Shalmolim Yisashru, if they became rich, ain't kosher, they would stop writing Tefillah Mezuzahs. I'm rich now. I don't need the money, and then we won't have an adequate supply of Tefillah Mezuzahs. Tanarban, kosher Tzvarim Tefillah Mezuzahs, hang them, the Tagrain, the retailers, the wholesalers, anybody in the supply chain, even though those people who sell tzitzis, ain't a Ryan Simon Bracha Lo'ilam. But if they're doing it not to make money, rather mitzvah mitzuya l'tzrichan, then Roy Nasi Bracha, and that makes sense, because then they won't stop if they become rich, because they're doing it because they want to help proliferate these Kisvei Kodesh. B'nei Baishon. The B'nei Baishon had a minhag, noig d'lo have azlin mitzur l'tzida in the Mali shops. Now the loch is, you're not allowed to leave on the trip after Wednesday in a ship. However, if it's a very short trip, then you're allowed to go even in Erev Shabbos. So there was a shuk that was in Sidon where you could buy product at a very discounted rate that they would make money by selling it in Sur, where they live. Yet, if they wouldn't go there to buy, they would end up having a higher cost of goods. And someone once told me that in the retail business, the whole kunz is the buying, not the selling. If you buy good, your father told me that. If you buy good, it's easy to sell. So they had a minhag, the B'nai B'ashin had a minhag, they wouldn't travel, even though it was mutter, but they wouldn't travel on short trips on Friday. Also, Benayu, the children of the B'nai B'ashin came along, and Amr, they told him, Amulai avosin efshalu. Our father was rich. He had a big business. He was able to afford to have product at a higher cost. Anan, we're not so successful. Loy efshalon, we can't afford to buy our product high. We need to go to Tzidoi. Amalu, he told him, Kfar kiblu avoseichem aleim. Your fathers already were makabel upon you such a chumrah. Shenemar shema b'ni musar avicha b'al titosh tari shemecha. So there's a whole shaila. If you could be shoyl on your own nether, which you mamish were accepted upon yourself, why can't I be shoyl on nether and somebody else accepted on me, which have less of a tfisa? So there's a big shaila in the Pesachim. If it's stama chumrah, you could be shoyl, but if it's because of a specific halacha concern, then maybe you can't be shoyl. But there's a lot of different loopholes, reasons why it would be different. It could be different today if there was a tachum in the family, if you would have to stick to it or not. And I guess we could stop here. And first, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Shkoyach.
Shkoyach.
Bye.